Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mano 777, and we're back inside of Destiny here with your weekly Nightfall solo for Tuesday, December 6th, 2016. It is Omnigul, the Will of Crota Strike with Arcburn, pretty much the trolliest combination you can find in the game. We've got the Impossible Machines for my exotic armor, as well as Zalo Supercell. I don't have transversive steps on my PS4, or I'd be using that. That would be definitely a good option to use. The modifiers this week are going to be Arcburn, Small Arms, Grounded, and Ironclad. Now, because Small Arms and Arcburn are on, this Nightfall is super duper tough. There's a lot of stuff that can pretty much two-shot you, and I know that I had to do the ending boss, I think, twice before I wrapped her up, and I was really, really cautious at the end. But essentially, there's Arcburn everywhere. You can see that there's homing, there's lots of hive boomers. But anyway, let's talk about this first room. This first room, you're going to have lots of enemies that are going to be to the right and the left. There are going to be a lot of the Fallen over on the left side. They're going to hit you with a lot of tracking weapons. Try and knock them out first, because you can kind of stay in cover, at least against the guys that are on your right, for a second. Just make sure that whenever you need to reload, fall back, because these guys can be an issue. Now, I'm using a Warlock with Stormcaller, which is going to help me out a ton if I need to, for example, clear a lot of ads. Now, this is a risky move. Now, this is actually a pretty long Nightfall video for me, but I wanted to be super safe, especially at Omnigul, because she is a monster, that and her ads. So if you do feel the need and you're on your Warlock, you can do that, but you can see I'm almost dead in that spot. It's very risky. I just wanted to see what it was like to see if I could clear out a whole ton of enemies during that point. One of the things you're going to have to face in these first opening two areas are lots of Fallen Shanks and the Vandals. The Vandals have arc in their swords, and the Shanks also will be able to take you out very, very quickly, probably like 3 or 4 shots if the Shanks get a hold of you. That's why I'm so careful. I'm so willing to move backwards into positions where I feel more comfortable, that it's going to be a good thing. Now, with the Hive that are going to be coming in, the Thrall are going to have arc in their claws, so I think it's like 2 to 3 shots with their claws are going to knock you out pretty quickly. So make sure, again, with the Zalo Supercell and Small Arms on, enemies will melt, but they will melt you too. So it's kind of a high-risk, high-reward activity. It's going to feel good to knock out a lot of these Hive very quickly, especially when you get to the last room. But remember, it's like 2 shots and you're toast too. So just think about that as you're going through this room. Every single time I'm worried about a Thrall coming on back in here, I just make sure I back up just a little bit, get a little position. I think like maybe 2 shots is all it takes. Maybe even 1 if I get a crit on those guys. So very easy to do, very easy to knock those guys out. You can see that those guys on the left are always going to be an issue, so I'm always being mindful of them. And one of the nice things about this Nightfall is that it doesn't feature chaff. Chaff would pretty much make this Nightfall just a nightmare. You're constantly on the lookout for enemies that are going to be to the left and right of you. That's one thing that this Nightfall features a lot of, is like, for example, there'll be one group of enemies attacking you to the left side and one group that will be attacking you to the right. Definitely want to just constantly be looking left, right, just all the time if you're going to solo this. Again, Zalo Supercell makes quick work of all these enemies. And one thing I always try and do is, before I go up into an engagement, and you'll see me do it during the boss fight, I always make sure that when I'm going to go into an engagement, I make sure I have full health, because with the damage threshold being so low, you know, I just try and take my time and keep my distance as much as possible and knock these guys out. Now, you're going to see me bust out my sniper in quite a few situations, especially when we get to the end boss, just because I'm not willing to use all my ammunition in my Zalo Supercell, and frankly, I'm going to be able to do a lot more damage with the Firefly Devil's Dawn in that situation. I'm also using a Silvered Dread from the Iron Banner machine gun, which works really well for me. Rocket launchers are good, but I wasn't willing to take a chance and have that blow back in my face. Plus, it was also a little bit easier for me to control. Now, those are going to be some of the guys that you're going to face all the time. The Hive Boomers, the Ascendant Knights are just nightmares in this Nightfall, guys. So take your time, really be patient. This one did take me a while to do, but your patience will pay off. All it takes is 2 shots. You can see that I had full life there a second, and literally half a second, my health was gone. So take your time during the nightfall, especially against those hive boomers. They are nightmares, and there's no other way to describe it. And I'm telling you, you're going to bang your head against the wall if you try and just melt Omnigul really fast. I know that there's a couple ways to do it. There's a room at the end that you can take care of, and you can kind of cheese it, but I never feel comfortable up there because I feel like if you do one wrong move, especially with Arc Burn, you're done and you're toast. So I rather would want to control the situation. It took me a little bit longer to do, but that's okay. Anyway, we're still clearing this room. Again, you can see very, very defensive, willing to hop back into that room as soon as I need to. What I'm kind of waiting for is that signal, is that there's going to be, they're going to open up that laser grid, and then we're going to have more hive and more fallen fighting the hive at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let them fight each other a little bit, and I'm going to try and take out especially that vandal, that yellow bar vandal that's coming through, because he's going to come get me. He's going to come and try and find me right now. And luckily, had I been in that engagement, he would have kept coming in that situation, and I would have probably been dead had I not been able to take out his life a little bit. Now, you're going to see I'm going to start to peek out here, grab some ammo, be very, very tentative about my steps. But again, this is about playing super defensive because it takes 2 good hits and you're done with the Nightfall. And I really didn't want to do this section over again. So, again, be cautious. Make sure you pick up all the ammunition you can. Now, what's nice about Zalo's Supercell is one of its perks is it will give you a chance to get your ammo, some of your ammo back. I'm going to use that in many situations in this Nightfall because I pretty much use Zalo all the way through this. I'll use different things at different times, and I'll tell you what's going on when that happens. So we're going to fly up here to the next area where the Fallen are. Now, this room, you can see I'm looking around here. There are some shanks that I'm going to watch out for because they literally drop in behind you, and it takes no time for them to knock you out of this Nightfall. So take a second, make sure you clear your bearings, always be mindful of your radar. You can see me dipping out. I reload a lot, and part of the reason why I do that is so that I can check my radar every single time. I'm using my sniper rifle to take out these guys who are going to snipe me. These are actually really good. You can see I'm waiting for them to come in. I'm also trying to bait out a lot of these enemies and trying to get them to come in here. That's going to allow me to get ammunition if I need it, as well as not go out where I could get killed very quickly. Now I start to hear shanks, and so I'm going to start to bank up. I think they actually pop in from the door. Yep. And they're going to have solar shields, but Azalo's Supercell will knock them out very quickly. Now, all right, so there was 2 shots from a shank, and I think it took out half of my life. So probably 3-4 shots and you're done. Just take your time, and of course I'm using my Warlock grenade, so it makes pretty quick work of this. Now, I think there will be another wave of shanks coming later on, but I'm going to start to move forward, try and knock more and more of these guys out as quickly as possible. This is why a good sniper would be great. If you don't have one with Firefly, that's okay. I just happen to like the Devil's Dawn because it has Firefly, and with Arc Burn on, it will do a lot of damage to people who are close, which will help out later on in the Omnigul room. But a Ex Machina would be a really good choice as well, as would a good triple tap 1,000-yard stare would be nice, or even if you've got a longbow. The only thing about a longbow is that it has a very low ammo capacity, so I would say maybe stick to the Ex Machina or Devil's Dawn. That's probably my favorite choice for this particular part. Now, you see I sometimes will jump, and that's actually a mistake on my part. I jumped a couple of times, and it wasn't a very smart move because I could have been taken out really quickly if I was up in the air because grounded is on. You can see I'm checking my radar right now. I see a guy right next to me. I'm lucky because I can get out, get back into cover, and knock out the shanks. Again, I think it's just one shank. It just, for some reason, just trolled me a little bit. If there's, well, and there's the other ones. So you can see, yeah, this is very much a troll Nightfall. I kind of feel like whoever designed the Wretched Eye with the shanks kind of designed the will of Crota Strike. Because there's a lot of these little troll areas here, so you want to make sure you're in cover as much as possible. And that is one nice thing that this strike provides, is quite a bit of cover especially in these opening areas. Now, at the end, there isn't really a lot of cover, especially if you use those main doors. I'm really excited for the Dawning event, because the Dawning event is going to feature a redesigned Omnigul fight where it's going to be, they're actually going to keep you inside the doors. They're going to actually like suck you in, and they're going to close the doors, but there aren't going to be that many trolling enemies. Right now, there are just a ton of troll enemies, like boomers that'll take you out in 2 shots, and they have every single weapon that can essentially arc over areas, barely grazing over any bridge or anything else like that, and will give you just a huge headache. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the new Omnigul Strike when it drops with the Dawning. All right, so you can see here that we're starting to get more ads coming in from the ships. I'm going to take a second, and I'm going to try as much as possible to get away from those captains with the arc in their blades and their swords, taking out as much as I can with the Zalos Supercell. Try to keep my distance as much as possible. Keep your distance. That's the biggest thing I could say. The range of Zalos Supercell is actually a lot farther than you think. You can even put the range up to its, or down to its lowest point and still do a lot of damage from a good distance. I think I've got a little bit of stability on mine, but I have it set for a little bit longer range in this engagement. So I'm going to start taking out those guys down over there. And there's going to be a couple King Barons and stuff like that. I'm going to try and take them out because they do start to bring out like their quasi Queensbreaker bow, sniper kind of things that they're using. So I'm going to knock them out as quickly as possible. There are going to be a couple of dregs that are going to have the arc. They're going to have arc grenades, so you want to watch out for them as well. You can see they chuck a couple trying to pick me off. So I'm going to try and make sure as much as possible I stay in cover, knock out the dregs. Again, you can see the range on Zalos Supercell is pretty good, especially in this moment. Now, remember, if you haven't done the Will of Crota Strike before, you will see that there is a little bit of red on my radar that is like right next to me. Don't freak out. It is just a guy up on the top ledge here. I'm going to snipe him in just a second as soon as I have a little bit of wiggle room, knock him out. He's the one kind of like little troll guy who's hanging up on that little ledge. So knock him out. Nothing will be crazy there. Now, I'm going to reload my machine gun because I want to try and conserve as much ammunition as possible. I do have 200-ish shots, but I want to keep my distance during this encounter. And while Zalo is good, I want to make sure that I don't get picked off any of these situations down below. You can see they're piled up here. I'm going to start to take them off one by one. And you can see how good Firefly with an arc sniper rifle will do. You can see all those extra damage numbers pop up. That's going to help out a lot. So again, if you've got a Devil's Dawn or some kind of sniper rifle with Firefly, highly encourage you that you use it. Again, just taking my time. I am not pushing up because a lot of them have a lot of arc weapons. I think the King Baron has some solar weapons, but there are some guys over there that are helping him out that I don't want to mess with. Pop over here, grab some ammunition, and make sure that I take these guys out. At a certain point, it will give you a voice prompt that you've killed the last guy, so you can move on. I actually do kill all the extra guys that are around because I want to make sure that I don't get picked off. Even though I think you get taken out of the darkness zone, I still don't like to take the chance. So you can see that we still got enemies here. You can still see that I've got a skull. There we go. Then I'll eliminate the fallen here. If you want to knock these guys out here on the side, it's a really easy thing to do. Just pop in that window and hit them with a little supercell. I knocked those guys out. Again, taking my time. I could rush through this, but again, try to be thorough for you guys so you guys know what's going on. I also get quite a bit of ammunition from here. So we're going to skip forward and go to the next part. There's not a lot of talking to this part. Just essentially run to the area where you need to deploy the door. You can skip past all these guys. If you want, you can kill them, but I'm going to skip right by them. I really don't want to mess with these guys. I want to save some time, especially since that last room is going to take quite a while. I want to make sure I push through to this next area.
Omnigul's only purpose is to usher in Crota's return. If she lives, our fight against Crota's armies may never end.
Okay, here we go. Going on to the next part, there is going to be a room with a couple of wizards, ogres, some boomers, basically where you go up the hill. It's the old Omnigul farming area. Thanks, Bungo, for taking that away. Really enjoyed farming for a lot of grasps here. I actually don't pick up a grasp at the end of the video. I actually have a couple of god tier grasps on the system that I'm doing this on. So I'm pretty happy with that. I really don't need an Omnigul bond for any reason. So you'll see Omnigul kind of just sitting there by herself. As soon as she screams, that is your cue to take out as many of these guys as possible with your Zala Supercell. Now what's nice is Zala will chain lightning to a lot of different guys. You can see that my ammunition is being recharged through this, so I'm able to kill a lot of guys. Now you can see how deadly the wizards are in this particular part. You can see that there are a lot of times where I'm almost knocked out by the wizards. So I'm going to take my time, make sure I creep around corners. There is going to be a guy I'm going to chuck a nade over on the right side. He's kind of hiding. You'll see I chuck a nade over here. He's a cursed thrall that kind of just hides behind that area. So make sure you knock him out so you don't get just cheaply killed in the Nightfall. Now, because Ironclad is on, you're going to have a little bit of a tougher time if you're using a sniper rifle with anyone that uses shields. So I'm going to try as much as possible to take them out with maybe some kind of different weapon. Now, Zala would be an okay weapon for that range, but I try to choose a couple of different options through here. Again, you can see if I got hit by 2 or 3 of those little shots, it almost destroys my health. Luckily, this Ascendant Wizard comes down and makes my job a little bit easier, and so I can use my Zala Supercell. Now here, that Wizard and I, especially yellow bars, because of how strong they are, we have a little fight during this entire engagement. And there are a couple of yellow bar folks you're going to have to worry about in the Omnigul fight as well, that you're going to have to just be really, really cautious of. I'm going to use my grenade to try and knock out her shield. Again, you can see only a couple shots. And that's the one thing is even though Berserk is not on, a lot of times they'll be able to shoot their weapons or their abilities at you really easily and they take you out even though you're doing massive damage to them. So again, take your time. This is probably one of the Nightfalls where you're going to have to be the most patient. Of all the Nightfalls I've ever done, while playing this game, and I'm a beta player. I've played since Destiny Beta. Really only started getting into it once Dark Below kind of came out. But, yeah, just take your time. Luckily, she comes down here. I'm able to knock her out pretty easily now that I kind of took out her shields pretty quickly. Now there's a boomer up to the top left. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take him out. Again, he's even got an arc shield on, but still because of Ironclad, it's going to be a little bit tougher to do. I'm going to try and take out a couple of cheap enemies that I think are there. Again, I'm going to try as well to bait out the next scream that she has and the other enemies because they can take you out really easily. Again, there's a couple of cursed thralls that kind of just hang around there. Again, just be really cautious. Again, I try to shoot her, but I think the way that you actually proc it is by going up a little bit further, I think past 2 or 3 of the rocks. So I just try and make sure that as I go forward, I have an exit and I have an escape plan. You can see there, as soon as she screams, I start to back up, move into cover, and wait for all these guys to come down. Now, there's going to be a bunch of knights. There's going to be some ogres. I think a couple of boomers. So just be really cautious. Take out that ogre first, just because you don't want him running down there. Chuck a nade. And I'm going to use my Storm Trance, I believe, here, just because I don't want to mess around with these guys and have them kill me. They start to run at me, and I push them back. One of the nice things about being Emperor Palpatine over in this game. Now, I'm going to be a little risky here. You can use it as much as possible. You can see there's some boomers in this area. I start to back up as soon as I think that I'm in a bad position, and I almost get taken out a couple of times. Those boomers are nasty. Those boomers and the wizards by themselves make this Nightfall one of the reasons why you have to be so patient about the Nightfall. So take your time. If you've got a crew of people who are doing this, that's awesome. Just make sure you focus fire on those boomers first. Okay, we're going to start to move a little bit to knock out this final knight, and then we'll be able to push forward. Again, take your time. Make sure that there's no cursed thralls or anything that can cheaply hit you. Know that there's a couple from playing this and farming the grasp so many times. I kind of know where all these enemies hide, and I point them out to you. I'll point them out to you in the video. Again, there's another cursed thrall, just kind of hanging out over in that area. All right, now the next room is the room that makes or breaks this Nightfall. Honestly, this room is the reason why I call this the trolliest Nightfall ever. You can go up. There is a room in the top left side of the room where you fight Omnigul, where you can fight her, but I prefer to stay out here because I feel like I'm in more control of the engagement. It does take a lot longer, but it's so much easier to control things. And if one of your teammates dies, say for example, if you're not soloing this, it's a lot more easy to deal with. Again, the cheese spot, top left corner, I just don't like using it because, man, it's if you get killed or you get or if they start to knock you out with those hive boomers and you get caught in that, you're done. You have no escape route. And I'm one of those people that I always have to have an escape route in a Nightfall or anything else like that. So what I'm going to show you here is kind of the strat. I'm going to take out, there's 3 or 4 waves, including some cursed thralls. So I'm going to show you how I deal with them. For most of them, I'm going to hop up on the top left to take out the first knight. And then what I'm going to do is just sit and plug away at Omnigul's life as much as possible and take out wizards. But the biggest thing you want to look out for is you can see those boomers just love to hide. They love to just sit back there and just try and pick you off. And it takes 2 good boomer shots and you're done. There are 2 usually in the back corner, as well as there's going to be 1 on the top right. You can see I'm starting to get position on this one. You can see half of my life is gone in 1 shot. And the other thing that's annoying is they put up those shields. Now, back in the day, when Crota was the main raid, there was a couple of guns that could actually penetrate those shields, which were nice. But unfortunately, if you use those, it drops your light down significantly. And you want to be using your Zalos Supercell throughout this. So basically, I'm going to let you guys watch how I deal with these encounters, give you some ideas of things to do, essentially, if you're going to be doing in this area. Watch the knights, try and pick her off piece by piece. I also like to try and bait and switch her. Like, sometimes I'll try and get her to go off to one side, and then I'll quickly change to another side. When she stops firing, I go out and get as much damage as I can on her. Watch for the wizards that are up on the middle platform. Kill the boomers. You're going to see I'm going to be trying to use my heavy weapons and my snipers so I can conserve my supercell energy throughout this engagement. So enjoy watching this content. It is a little bit nail biting. I almost died a couple of times. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Now, I've never seen the witch come down like that or the wizard come down like that. That last wizard almost got me a couple of times. She is awful, and I'm not a big, huge fan of her. But I'm going to knock out Omnigul here in just a second. You'll notice I don't even take out the knight that's over on the other side. I don't even take the chance. He's not bugging anyone over on that side. So, yeah, that's the deal, guys. So just take your time. You can see here I'm just playing it super safe. I actually don't know if there's a boomer in the back left side or not. So I'm just trying to get her life down. As soon as she starts to shoot me, I back up. You can see that since my ammo capacity is at such a low level, I want to make sure that if I do shoot her, I want to make sure I get every single shot on her and make it count. Changing between my sniper and my Zalo supercell. Sometimes I'll try and bait out the sniper shot and make her move a little bit. You can see that sometimes she will move a little bit when she's getting shot or when she hears a shot. So again, I'm taking my time. Just gonna take a second. I'm gonna knock her out, and we'll be done with the Nightfall. Again, one of the trolliest Nightfalls that Bungie has ever put together. It is definitely one of those Nightfalls you're going to have a lot of patience with if you're going to solo. You can get the Grasp of Malak Pulse Rifle, which is one of the best guns in the game, in my opinion, as well as an Omnigul Bond here. Just a class item for your Warlock. So if you want to see that, just check out the Bungie Armory. I'd highly say if you want to get a good Grasp of Malak, this is the week to try and do it with your Skeleton Key. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed something in this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it, or if you're going to attempt it this week, or if you're just going to go get a group of friends together. I get a pretty nice activity reward, so I'm pretty happy with it. 400 bad juju. Guys, thanks you so much. Subscribe for more Destiny content, and I will see you next time in the universe of Destiny.